the Broncos make multiple massive moves, and we have a major update on recent players signing multi-year extensions to stick around long-term with the Denver Broncos. The work that George Payton put in to getting these players signed and having them locked up and wearing orange and blue for the foreseeable future is huge for the Denver Broncos, because these two players, they've contributed greatly to the overall success of how good the Denver Broncos have been this season. I mean, you look at their record, you look at the teams they've beaten, they're 9-2. They comfortably lead the AFC West. They're one of the best teams in the National Football League. And these players that just got extended for multiple years have played a crucial role in that. So getting these players locked up is huge. And we're not just talking about the signings themselves, but what the depth chart is going to look like and how big this is for the future of Denver Broncos and the bigger picture of the team and what they're going to be able to accomplish in the next few years. Welcome into Broncos Digest. Mark Robinson here with you, breaking down all things Denver Broncos football. Happy to have you here with us. One of the best possible places that you can come and get your Denver Broncos news and updates. And with that in mind, we want to make sure that you're fully a part of this Denver Broncos Digest family. And so if you're not subscribed to the channel, I want to make sure that you are aware that 92% of our viewers every single day are not subscribed to Broncos Digest. So if you're not subscribed, and if you want to join the fastest growing, best possible source for Denver Broncos news, it's completely free, and we'd love to have you. Join the Broncos Digest family. Help us get to 2,000 subscribers. We're getting closer and closer, and our goal is to try to do that as soon as possible. So if you're able, please hit that subscribe button. Like I said, it's completely free, and we'd love to have you join the fastest growing source for Denver Broncos news and updates and rumors. Without further ado, let's dive into these new signings, talk about who has been locked up to wear orange and blue and play for the Broncos for the foreseeable future, as well as what this will mean for the team and just the bigger picture of the Denver Broncos. So these signings happening over the last few days per sources from Mike Kliss 9 News. A 3-year, $24 million contract extension for Malcom Roach with a chance to make up to $29.25 million. It's a $14 million guaranteed contract. The $8 million average per year is a nice raise for Malcom Roach from his current deal, which is at $3.5 million. That report coming after the initial news from Mike Kliss as well, where the Broncos get a deal done with Malcom Roach. A 3-year extension was signed for Malcom Roach. That's big to have the defensive tackle locked up for the foreseeable future. He's obviously played a huge role in how successful our defense has been throughout this season. It's been one of the best in the National Football League, non-negotiable. And so getting a guy like Malcom Roach signed long-term, there's two sides to this. It shows that the Broncos trust that he plays a pivotal role in what they've been able to do defensively, and that he's a key piece to that, and that he needs to be a part of that for the future. And it also shows that a high-caliber player like Malcom Roach he trusts this defense. He knows he wants to be a part of this defense, and that's big for the Broncos looking forward and what their defense is going to be able to accomplish long-term. So that's very exciting for the Denver Broncos. And then Luke Wattenberg, 4-year, $48 million year for the center, Luke Wattenberg, another key piece to our offense for the Denver Broncos. Looks like he'll be making about $12 million a year on that contract. Another big signing. So these signings coming during the bye week for the Denver Broncos as we kind of take all this in and look ahead to tomorrow night's game against the Commanders, Sunday Night Football. Getting these signings done, it puts a lot of trust in a few different categories for the Broncos. It puts a lot of trust in these players, and it makes them able to play and feel more confident now that they have longer-term deals. And it also puts trust in just the overall bigger picture of what this Broncos team's front office and what the business side is looking at as far as what the team is capable of. It's very exciting for the Denver Broncos. And we're going to look a little bit more into just a little bit of a backstory on these signings and then dive into some depth chart conversation as well, now that these players are locked up for the next 3 to 4 years. So according to multiple reports, including NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero, the Denver Broncos signed center Luke Wattenberg to that 4-year, $48 million extension. It includes a $27 million guarantee as far as what he's going to be making. Obviously talked about how it's looking like it'll be around $12 million a year, but that $27 million guarantee is obviously a big plus for the center, Luke Wattenberg. And it's just big with how big that player has been specifically for our offense, getting him on that long-term deal. You know, I already said it, but it kind of rounds out the conversation of how all parties are really going to benefit from this specific situation. Brian McLaughlin of Vayner Sports negotiated the deal, which puts Wattenberg among the NFL's highest paid centers. And that right there shows how much confidence there is in what he does at that position and how much he adds to the offense and how much he contributes to the ability for Bo Nix to produce and to be a strong quarterback for the Denver Broncos. And then we've talked about this on the channel as well. Wil Lutz signed a 3-year contract extension earlier in the week. Head coach Sean Payton had told reporters that the team talked to a few other players about potential deals, and then it was later reported that those two players were center Luke Wattenberg and defensive lineman Malcom Roach. And those deals obviously done now. Talking a little bit more about Luke Wattenberg, he's a former 5th-round selection by the Broncos in the 2022 NFL draft. So he's still young playing for the Denver Broncos. He's become a very consistent part of their offensive line. Over 4 seasons, he's had 47 games for Denver, including 25 starts. He won the Broncos starting center competition last summer, and he's been quarterback Bo Nix's center for the past 2 seasons. He may not have been the best center in the NFL. He's been solid overall. He's a key piece to the Denver Broncos' current top-ranked unit, and it makes sense to keep him around just because of his all-around game. He's efficient for Bo Nix. He's good on the line blocking. He does everything that the Broncos need in a center, and he fits the system of what works so well with Denver perfectly, and that's the most exciting thing about getting him locked up for the next 4 years. And then going back to defensive tackle Malcom Roach, he agreed to that 3-year, $29.25 million deal with that $14 million guaranteed. He was in the last year of his contract with the Denver Broncos after signing that 2-year agreement in the 2024 offseason. He's appeared in 23 games for Denver, recording 4.5 sacks. So the defense has been unreal this year, and he has contribution to that. And it's not just the sacks, the way that he plays on the line and the way that he plays within our defensive system. Even if he's not actively getting those sacks, he's making efficient tackles and he's playing good defense. He's a huge contributor to the Broncos and why they're able to be such a strong team defensively. Roach started his career under head coach Sean Payton in New Orleans as an undrafted free agent in 2020. He's tallied 5.5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, and 18 quarterback hits in his 64 career games with 7 starts. That's another big thing right there. You know, Sean Payton loves bringing in some of his assets from his long tenured coaching career at New Orleans. Wil Lutz, an example of that. He was a kicker at New Orleans, came here when Sean Payton came here, and he just got signed to a longer-term deal. So clearly Sean Payton likes to keep some of those New Orleans players in close quarters, and seeing another guy like Malcom Roach get a deal with the Broncos is very exciting. So taking a look at the depth chart, both offensively and defensively, starting off with the offensive depth chart, everything obviously looks the same from top to bottom for quarterback, running back, and wide receivers, as well as tight ends. Obviously, J.K. Dobbins out with that injury for the rest of the season, but looking all the way down at center, there's Luke Wattenberg right there, our number 1 center in front of Bo Nix on the line, snapping him the ball. And it's great to see him in that 1C position now that he is on a longer term 4-year deal. That's very good and very efficient for the Denver Broncos. And then looking at the defensive side of things, obviously a bunch of these things looking pretty similar. Zach Allen, DJ Jones, John Franklin Myers, Jonathan Cooper from top to bottom for the Denver Broncos. Dre Greenlaw, who's been fitting in really well as a right inside linebacker, Nick Bonito, and Patrick Surtain. Surtain, very exciting that he'll be probably coming back sooner than we think, which is going to be huge for the Denver Broncos. Talking about just the fact that our defense has been so efficient without Patrick Surtain, it's pretty insane how well they've been able to play without that number 1 cornerback. And then if you look at that second list of defense players, Malcom Roach right there on that right defensive end side, backing up John Franklin Myers. Those two have worked really well as far as rotating in and out with one another, and getting him signed to that longer term deal is just huge for the Denver Broncos. And it's very exciting, quite frankly, that these players got locked into some longer term deals for the future. So exciting stuff for the Broncos, getting these players signed. I mean, I hope that this is just the beginning of getting some other guys locked in longer term, because everything about this team, I want it to stick around for as long as possible because the system works really well. It's efficient. It's dangerous. Both sides of the ball contribute to one another, and our special teams is really rounded out as well. So I hope this is just the beginning of a lot of guys on the lineup understanding that this is a system that they want to be a part of. All right, thanks so much for joining us here on Broncos Digest today. Mark Robinson with you as usual. If you're not subscribed to the channel, it's completely free to hit that subscribe button. So join the fastest growing source for Denver Broncos news and updates. We'll be keeping you up to date as always with everything going on in the world of Denver Broncos football. Got the Commanders game tomorrow, off the bye week, and back in action are the Denver Broncos, and we're very excited for it. Have a great rest of your day. Happy belated Thanksgiving, everybody. Hopefully, if you celebrate, you're getting into the Christmas spirit. It's a beautiful time to be rooting for the Denver Broncos, and just everything's just looking up as far as the world of football, specifically with the Broncos. All right, we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much for the support. Cheers, everybody.